I review the Byrds album, Dr. Byrds and Mr. Hyde. It was released in 1969 and produced by Bob Johnston. So I have this on vinyl, and then I have the CD, which was what I got first. So yeah, this is going to be the album where I think, well, other than kind of one of the other ones coming up, but this is one of the albums where my opinion on it's changed the most since the last time I did these. This was kind of a weird album because when I first got into the Byrds, I was just gonna get get up to Notorious Byrd Brothers and quit, just kind of sticking with the original lineup of the band. But then I ended up getting Sweetheart, and I really liked it, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of the albums, even though it's basically it's a completely different lineup. But I did kind of hesitate for a little bit because of that. I remember I bought these probably actually like a month after Sweetheart, so a little while. And I think I might have got Ballad of Easy Rider before I got Dr. Byrds and Mr. Hyde, but I can't remember exactly. If I did, it was probably just because it was like cheaper on Amazon at the time or something. So this album, for a long time, was my least favorite Byrds album, and I think has to do with kind of just the weird nature of the album. As the title suggests, it's kind of like has a split personality going on. It's got like country and rock kind of thing, and sometimes like within the same song, it has like a rock kind of part and then like the country part going on. So it's kind of a weird album where like they're doing these two different styles, and I don't know if that's the reason I wasn't into it. I really like struggled to figure out why I wasn't into this album for a long time. I'm not really sure on that, but it's definitely grown on me a lot. I've come to appreciate it a lot more. Still not like my favorite album or even my favorite by this lineup, but I appreciate it a lot now more than what I did. Since Sweetheart of the Rodeo, like the band basically completely falls apart after that, and you just have Roger McGuinn left of that original lineup, and then you have Clarence White comes in on guitar, and he plays most of the lead from here on out, and he's a great lead player. Clarence White's just amazing on all these Byrds albums, and then you have John York on bass and Gene Parsons on drums, no relation to Graham. So that's the new lineup. It's kind of the I've heard I like to call it the Roger McGuinn experience. I stole that from somewhere. I didn't come up with it, but so yeah, you just have McGuinn singing all the tracks on this album as well. I think it's the only Byrds album where he sings all the songs, and I think he did that just because it was a new lineup and with all the changes and stuff. They thought it would be good to have like a uniform sound or something. But you can hear, I'm pretty sure on some of the songs on here, you can hear John York pretty audibly singing backing vocals, because there's definitely a voice on there that's not McGuinn's. So yeah, that may have been one of the reasons, now that I think about it, that kind of held this album back for me a little bit, which is strange because I mean I really love Roger's voice and I think he does a great job singing on all these songs. But I do really like the Byrds because of the changes in vocals and stuff, because I like bands that have multiple singers. But yeah, that said, I really just, I don't know why I wasn't into this album for a long time. The production is the only album of theirs produced by Bob Johnston, and from what I can remember reading, the band like weren't that happy with the job he did on here. I don't think they got rid of him until after I think that had more to do with the Lay Lady Lay single than it did with the album, but it's the only time they worked with him, and I don't know, the production to me, I do kind of like the way it sounds, like you can hear everything, but it kind of strikes me as like, if, I don't know, like I think it could use kind of like a remix and just like some of the things turned up and some things turned down maybe. I don't know, I think that if I were the one like mixing it or whatever, the volumes on everything aren't exactly where I would have them, but it's also hard to say like where that would be like within a song. I don't know, I'm kind of rambling, 'cause it's late, but Uh, yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a huge problem with the production on this. I think some of it sounds like, oh, maybe the rhythm guitar should be louder here and the vocal should be quieter, and just things like that here and there. But overall, I mean, I can't really say like why the band had such a big problem with it. Opens with "This Wheel's on Fire," Bob Dylan cover, and really strong opening track. It's kind of one of the heaviest like Byrds songs, at least I think, in my opinion. And I read that Clarence White wasn't really that happy with his playing on this song. I don't know if it was this version or the other version, but I guess he just didn't really like what he was doing in that style or something like that. But I think his playing on it's just really cool, and he doesn't play like in this style like he does in this song very often. So it's cool to hear him play like that and do something different. Which is kind of like on this album, I guess is one of the things I really like about it is it's I guess his like least country guitar playing-ish album. Which I mean he's great at the country style guitar that he does on all the other albums. I mean, really great at it. But it's interesting to hear Clarence play in kind of a different style on here. So that's really cool. But yeah, really strong opening track. The second track, Old Blue, traditional song. It's the first of their kind of like 3 dog songs that they do with this lineup, which I've heard people like kind of complain about the dog songs. I like all the dog songs. But I like dogs, so it's a cool song, and I really love the band. The whole band's playing on this, and Gene Parsons' drums are really cool. I like what York's playing. McGuinn's rhythm guitar is really good, and Clarence is great. So really, I mean, the whole band on this album, they just all really play well together, even though they've kind of been together a short amount of time, and this is their first album with this lineup. This third track, Your Gentle Way of Loving Me, a cover that I think was written by like band members of Clarence and Gene Parsons' former band, which I believe is called Nashville West. And this good kind of like countryish song. I think it's catchy. I like McGuinn's vocal on it a lot, so it's a good track. Fourth song, Child of the Universe. A song that McGuinn wrote with somebody else. I forgot to write down the name. I think this song had something to do with, if I remember right, it had something to do with like some movie that they were supposed to write a song for, and McGuinn and John York wrote a song for it that they didn't like, so they paired McGuinn up with another songwriter and had him write this. And I think that this was the song that I was probably pretty hard on the last song in my former review, but like, I know I think ripped into this song from what I remember, and I kind of get why, but now I kind of disagree with that. This song's grown on me, and I like it. It's got kind of just some different weird things going on with it. I don't know. It's kind of a different song, but at the same time, I think it does some cool things, and it's kind of grown on me. So I like that one now. The fifth track, Nashville West, by Gene Parsons and Clarence White. I guess it was kind of like the theme song to their previous band or something. It's a cool countryish instrumental. I think I've read that Gene Parsons at least wasn't very happy with this version on here, but I like it. I think it sounds cool. And they do some probably better live versions on some of the live albums though. Sixth track, Drugstore Truck Driving Man by McGuinn and Graham Parsons. So he wrote this with McGuinn sometime before he left the band or was fired, whatever it was. So yeah, this track, it's kind of, this has always been kind of my favorite track on the album. It's got a long story behind its writing where like they were on this radio show and the DJ wouldn't play their single, so they wrote this song. Yeah, it's a countryish track. It's got some cool pedal steel on it. I've always found it really catchy. Just kind of a fun song. McGuinn kind of does his like Graham Parsons-y southern singy style on it, but I like the vocal. Kind of wish there had been a version that had Graham singing with him. I think that would have been cool. No, there wasn't like enough of those guys singing together, unfortunately. Seventh track, King Apathy, number 3. I'm not sure what happened to the first two. Is a McGuinn track, and this one I like. It's one of the songs, like the song itself kind of has like a rock part in the verse, and then it kind of has this like country-ish part that I'm not sure if it's like the chorus or what it is, but that definitely has like the whole rock country split personality thing going on just within this song, like it is kind of within the whole album. So yeah, it's a cool song. Got some really cool guitar on it from Clarence and from McGuinn as well, and just another one where the whole band is playing really good, I think. The 8th track, Candy, the one by McGuinn and John York, the bass player, and I like this one. It's catchy, got some cool instrumental bits on it. Pretty solid song. The 9th track, Bad Night at the Whiskey, is by McGuinn and another writer, and I can't even read my handwriting on his name, so sorry about that. I think it's Richards. This one, I always have a hard time remembering what this one sounds like because the title. It's another one. Anytime a song has a title that's like something other than the song, unless it's a song that's like that, that's like ingrained into my head, like Black Dog, I can remember. But a lot of times these songs that like they don't bring up their song title within the song, I forget what they sound like if I just read the title. But it's a pretty cool song. Another one of the kind of more rocking tracks on the album. It's got some it's pretty cool guitar and stuff going on in it. The 10th track, or 10th and final track, is a medley of My Back Pages, BJ Blues, and Baby What You Want Me to Do. And I think I was pretty hard on this the last time I reviewed this as well. Never been the biggest fan of medleys. I don't know why. They just kind of irritate me a little bit. But I like this. I think it's kind of fun. They almost kind of make it sound like they're doing a live thing. It's just kind of a fun way to close the album, and the Byrds have a lot of silly album closing tracks, so it kind of continues that. Yeah, I think that the My Back Pages part at the beginning is kind of my favorite bit that they do on it. In the last part of the song, I'm pretty sure you can hear John York singing pretty clearly, like almost more than McGuinn, because he's like singing a little bit higher. But yeah, it's not a bad way to close the album. Bonus tracks on this album aren't that great. There's Stanley's Song by McGuinn and Hippard, and this one I think I really hated last time as well. I'm not really sure why. It's actually kind of catchy. It's not bad. It's just a nice little song. Not like anything exceptional or like super remarkable or anything, but it's not bad. And then Lay Lady Lay, which I don't even think this is like the singles version. It's an alternate version. And apparently, from what I read, the single version, I don't think I've ever heard that one, but I guess it has like a choir overdubbed or something, and like the band really hated it, and that's why they never worked with Bob Johnston again. This version, as it is, I don't think it's very good. I think it's one of their worst Dylan covers, really. It's got this irritating like that it keeps doing, and then like I never say this about McGuinn's vocals either, because I love McGuinn as a singer, but I'm not crazy about his vocal on this. Mainly in the verses. I think the choruses are fine, but I just don't think he does a great job with the verses. I feel like they should have had, I don't know, like Clarence or maybe even Gene sing the verses, and then had McGuinn on the choruses like it is. I know they were doing all McGuinn singing at this point. Yeah, I don't know. This one of their few Dylan covers that just like really doesn't work for me. Then you have an alternate version of This Wheel's on Fire, which is cool. An alternate version of the medley, which like, and an alternate version of Nashville West. So, not the best bonus tracks, but yeah, Dr. Byrds and Mr. Hyde, kind of a weird album. I mean, it's not anything like the original Byrds albums. Like, if you're going into these later Byrds albums, I think you really almost have to think of it like, okay, this is a completely different band now. Like, it does have McGuinn, so you're going to have occasionally some of the 12-string, but I mean, even that's really dialed back on this album and really like going forward, because Clarence kind of takes over a lot of the guitar stuff. So I don't know, it's a really different band. So it's not, I don't know, it's almost like, I feel like these albums they really get kind of a bad rap unfairly, in my opinion, because I think they're really strong albums, and it's just people expect them to be like the original 5 albums, and they're not. They're this completely different thing, even though they have the same name. So, this was my least favorite for a long time, and I don't really get why now. I think it's a pretty solid album. Still never going to be my favorite Byrds album, but as far as their later albums go, it's a pretty good one.